Hello everyone, welcome back to the show. We had the opportunity to sit down with Joseph Dorman, director of the film Sholem Aleichem, Laughing in Darkness. Sholem Aleichem, Laughing in Darkness is a riveting portrait of a great writer whose stories became the basis of the Broadway musical Fiddler on the Roof. This movie tells the tale of the rebellious genius who created entirely new literature. Plumbing the depths of a Jewish world locked in crisis on the cusp of profound change, he captured that world of brilliant humor. Sholem Aleichem was not just a witness to the creation of a new modern Jewish identity, but one of the very men who shaped it. Let's take a closer look.
It's too bad you're in such a hurry, because the stories I could tell you, bushels and baskets of stories, whole crates full of stories. But if you can spare a moment, I'll tell you one story. A true story.
The reading of a story of Sholem Aleichem on Friday night became a Jewish family ritual.
Sholem Aleichem is trying to paint a portrait of a society at the same time as that society is dissolving.
His genius was he saw where Jews were going, but he also knew where they came from.
Jews have undergone a tremendous transformation, and Sholem Aleichem, more than any writer, has captured its challenges. He's captured its humor.
As the saying goes, if you have money, you're not only clever, but handsome too and can sing like a nightingale.
Sholem Aleichem never uses humor to escape from what's terrible. He uses humor to enable you to understand that there is a perspective from which the most terrible thing is funny too.
He wrote in his autobiography, to make people laugh was almost a sickness with me.
May the worms eat you, a toothache make you
In
yell.
short, I'm now in real estate. Why real estate?
I pronounce you a certified lunatic.
I'm so happy I could. We're off to America.
Sholem Aleichem began to write a series of essays about Tevye the milkman and his 7 daughters.
When you have daughters, they say, "Vergeet dem Gelächter," you forget to laugh, because daughters is a serious business.
Huddle, my second daughter, pretty as a picture. And if looks aren't bad enough, she has the brains to go with them.
Fiddler was created from the perspective of the Promised Land and how good it is to reconnect with tradition.
Sholem Aleichem was exploring one question: how to be Jews in a modern world.
He gave us the literature which could bridge a gap when we're shifting not from one generation to the next. This is going from one epoch to the next.
There's no question that he becomes a true culture hero.
He's the ultimate modern, or to put it more accurately, he's the precursor for us.
So comedy and Jewishness sort of goes hand in hand. Why did you decide to make this movie?
You know, I was searching around for a film to do, and I was sort of at a loss, and a friend of mine, Professor Jeffrey Shadler, suggested doing a film on Sholem Aleichem, and I really knew nothing about Sholem Aleichem. There was a book, the Tevye stories, on my parents' bookshelf. I don't remember anyone in the family ever picking up that book, but we had it there because Sholem Aleichem became a kind of talisman for generations of Jews, sort of having a copy of Sholem Aleichem was synonymous with being Jewish. It was like having a copy of the Bible on your bookshelf, and he really became something like a Bible to generations of Jews. But it was only until I started reading his work that I realized what a great artist he was. He wasn't just a folk figure. He wasn't just the man whose stories Fiddler on the Roof were based on. He was someone who was part of an entire generation of Jews who were really trying to redefine the modern Jewish experience.
It truly shows the beginnings of really comedy, but Jewish comedy is so ingratiated in our society. What have you taken away from this film?
Often when you're making a film, you find that you're attracted to a subject in the same way we're attracted to people, and only find out later what was so attractive about that subject or that person. And I think for me with Sholem Aleichem, what I realized only after I had begun to work on the film was how much his work is centered on the question of modern Jewish identity and what that means. He was writing at a point when many Jews were leaving the traditional shtetl world, where religion was not defining all aspects of their lives, and they were a whole generation of Jews generations of Jews were trying to understand how to be Jewish in the modern world. And that was a question that had plagued me, that had obsessed me from really the moment I thought about the fact that I was Jewish. I mean, I've been religious on and off in my life. I go to shul sometimes I don't, more often not. But I've always been deeply Jewish identified. And I was deeply attracted to the fact that Sholem Aleichem wrestled with this question. And I could never come up with an answer to that. I have all sorts of, maybe multiple answers, all sorts of reasons why I feel Jewish and am Jewish. I have a love of Jewish history. But what Sholem Aleichem taught me, and maybe this was both surprising and maybe unsurprising, was that the answer to what does it mean to be a modern Jew in some ways is really to ask that question from the first point, to even ask the question, to search for answers, in some ways defines being a Jew today. That's what Tevye did. Tevye was a man who lived in a village away from the shtetl. He had no rabbinic supervision. Every time something happened to him, he had to readjust. He had to figure out, how do I maintain my Jewishness, but let go of certain things? Let my daughter marry someone that I wouldn't exactly want her to marry. And that to me, I think, was really the most powerful and in some ways surprising takeaway I had from this film.
Whenever you start a project, you never know where it's going to go. What did you learn as you were directing?
When I started making the film on Sholem Aleichem, I didn't really think about the fact, obviously I knew he was a funny man and a humorist, but I really didn't go into it as a means of exploring comedy. And yet, of course, the more I read his works, the more brilliantly humorous I realized he was. And the more I realized that he created, not only did he feed off of centuries, generations of a certain kind of Jewish, ironic, comedic sensibility, but he really helped reshape it and remold it for the contemporary, for the modern era. And in that sense, Sholem Aleichem, in many ways, is the grandfather of American Jewish comedians, and not just American, Jewish comedians everywhere in the world today. He really helped define that sensibility.
As you were filming this incredible film, did anything surprise you?
You know, I think what was most interesting to me and surprising was that I had always pictured Sholem Aleichem, to the degree I knew anything about him, and I really knew essentially nothing. I pictured him as a folksy humorist, and that's the myth essentially that has grown around him. But that's false. I mean, he in large part is responsible for that myth because he created the folksy persona of Sholem Aleichem to reach out to what was his largely uneducated populace and reading public in the shtetl. But in fact, Sholem Aleichem was an extremely serious artist. And what he was able to do was blend comedy, brilliant comedy, with these high art intentions. And I guess that's maybe a particularly Jewish thing, to blend this kind of humor with the most serious of intentions.
As you can see, Sholem Aleichem, Laughing in Darkness. It's truly a remarkable film. This is Owen Herman, and thanks for watching.